So I absolutely hate tier lists. As you guys will know if you've been regulars in this stream, I cannot stand tier lists. I don't think they give any useful information. But as a gesture of good faith to my chat and to my viewers and to everyone who's participated in this charity drive we've been doing, I did say that I would make a Street Fighter V tier list if we reached $2,000 donated to the Palestine Children's Relief Fund. And we have met that goal spectacularly. Thank you so much to everyone who's taken part. So I guess that's what we're doing now. Let me boot up Opera. I don't know how this is going to pan out, but let's just get into it because I know this is the most obvious. We're just going to do it straight away. There you go. Luke tier is Luke. Luke is the best character in the game. We don't need to go into why. He has a tool for every situation. He hits like a truck. He has no weaknesses whatsoever. He is the most well-rounded character in Street Fighter history. I don't think anyone would contest this. If you think Dhalsim was better than Luke in the final season, I've got a bridge to sell you. Alright, who is next? By the way, this is not going to be ordered initially. I'm going to start out just not ordering this. So, there he is. There's the boy. Cody got better every single season. By the end of this game, Cody was one of the best characters in the game. He had monstrous pressure, infinite plus frames, some of the best pokes in the game. His V-skill 2 meant he never had to respect fireballs and could get out of tons of stuff. Cody was a demon by the end of this game. In a similar story, this boy right here, Ed. The final season of Street Fighter V was the season of blonde white boys being overpowered. Ed joins the club. Flicker was completely broken in the final season because they gave him that stupid EX Flicker follow-up. So he could just sit back and buff a Flicker, and if it hits, you just press 3 punches and cancel into the follow-up. It was the all-in-one footsies fuck you move. His pressure was ridiculous. His EX Fireball in the corner was like plus 2 million on block. Yeah, Ed was crazy. Amazing buttons, amazing pressure. Flicker was the most broken move in the game. Yeah. Joining the quirky white boys that are overpowered club, we have Ken. Ken was always good in Street Fighter V. As much as Ken players like to whine constantly about how his combos were inconsistent, Ken was really good. He was similar to Luke in that he was just super well-rounded. He had amazing footsies. His crouch medium kick had a confirm window so big that if you failed to hit confirm crouch medium kick with Ken, you should have been laughed at and never taken seriously. It was so easy. So Ken was up here as well. Who else? Poisson. Poisson was, I mean, just... You know when people make that joke about how, like, Zona, by the way, this was a common thing? Let's do both of them at the same time. Where's the other one? There he is. Both of these characters embodied Zona, by the way. They had amazing zoning tools, incredible hitboxes, they could keep you out forever, you had to take mad risks to get in on them. But what made both of these characters, Poison and Dhalsim, so annoying was the fact that as well as having incredible zoning, they also had incredible rushdown and huge damage combos. Yeah. Both of these characters are demons. Do I put anyone else up here? Let me have a look at the cast, hang on. Oh, let me not forget. This character right here slipped under a lot of people's radars. Juri... That stand medium kick, man. Her stand medium kick alone is enough to put her up here. You could just sit in neutral, press stand medium kick and buffer it into specials, and it was like a auto hit confirm. Because if you got whiff punished, it just automatically cancelled into a special on the first hit, which was 5 frames for some insane reason. And if they didn't press a button, you would get the second hit of stand medium kick, which wasn't special cancelable. So Juri players never had to hit confirm because her stand medium kick was like a built-in automatic hit confirm. Also, her stand medium kick is still broken in 6, but that's a whole nother story. It's broken in both games. Great pressure, great rush down, just good tools all around. No obvious weaknesses. Yeah, this character also, Juri had probably the single best anti-fireball kit in the game. If she could just back up to full screen, charge V skill, and then you just couldn't use any projectiles. She also had EX Flip. EX Flip, which was a combo starter, completely safe on block, and went through fireballs, was also very annoying. Cody and Juri both just deleted fireballs, but I think Juri was more obnoxious. You could throw fireballs at Cody from full screen, and there was not much you could do about it. It was only up close that you couldn't throw them. Juri, you just can't throw fireballs anywhere against this character. Okay. Now, the question I'm having with myself right now, the last character for this S lineup, I think Falk was probably S tier 2. I think she was. The pool of Falk players wasn't that huge, but over here in Europe, we had the Forfils, who was uncontestably the best Falk player in the world. This character was similar to Ed, where they just threw buffs at her endlessly, and they didn't realize what they were doing. Giving her that EX shot cancel from jump shot, I don't know what they were thinking, man. I don't know what they were thinking. Both Falk and Ed were top tier in the final season, but it felt like they were top tier by accident, not by design. Capcom were just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks with these two characters. They were very annoying to fight, and it didn't feel like their strengths were completely intentional. Yeah, right now it's not ordered, but I might shuffle things around once I'm finished doing the general layout. Alright, let's move down. I'm just going to update these labels. Okay. Balrog, consistently good in this game. Potentially a contender for S. Brick wall of good normals. He could constantly harass you. Straight was just, like, constantly a threat at all ranges. Almost impossible to miss space. And I think in the final season, didn't they make every single version of Straight -4? So, like, even if you used medium and heavy, as long as it wasn't, like, super close, it was almost never punishable unless you had a privileged 4-frame. Yeah, that was the meme in Brian F's chat, wasn't it? He had the -4 emote, I think. So, yeah. Good rushdown. Incredible anti-air. I would say Balrog's stand... What was the button? Stand medium kick, was it? Or medium punch? The one where he's like that? That was medium punch? Yeah, that anti-air, just... You never had to think. It covered every angle. Brain dead. Up next we have... Ooh, potentially controversial one. I think Alex was really good by the end of the game. I mean, Problem X played this character a lot. We used to run lots of lobbies together. Some people would say this character was not that good. I think he was severely underrated. He went from having... The funny story of Alex is that he went from having probably the worst anti-airs in the game when he first came out to probably the best anti-airs in the game by the end of it. He had Stand Fierce as an anti-air. His Crouch Fierce beat everything into a juggle. His EX knee... What's it called? EX knee smash, whatever that thing was called. His EX DP was an actual DP by the final season. Like, if you had good DPs, you would never, ever get jumped in on as an Alex player. Lariat endlessly got buffed. By the final season, it was like +4 on block or some nonsense. Great pressure, huge damage. Good choices for V-skills and V-triggers. His only real weakness, I would say, is that his defense was not perfect. He didn't have a 3-frame, and his only get off me tool was EX elbow, which was quite slow. So his defense was a tiny bit lacking, but other than that, he had incredible offensive strength and good buttons. Up next, oh, Chun-Li. Chun-Li, again, is another character that I could put up here. Chun-Li players were very quiet across the life of Street Fighter V. She was busted in Season 1, and then she got severely nerfed, but she slowly crept back up like every year she would get a few nice little buffs, which started to add up over time. I'm going to put her in A for the time being, but she could definitely be in S. I mean, Valmaster didn't play much Street Fighter V for the first 3 or 4 years, but I would say in the final year of the game, just before Street Fighter V died, there was a strong argument that Valmaster was like one of the best players in Europe, if not the best. You could argue he was like top 3 in Europe, just purely on legacy experience and the strength of this character. They kept buffing her V-skill too. When Hazanshu first came out, it was the worst V-skill in the game. By the end of the game, it was an incredible combo tool. Huge upgrade to her whiff punish game. Her crouch fierce was +1 for some stupid reason in the last season. Don't know what that was all about, but yeah. Chun's really good. Who else? Oh, I've got to do Guile. Was Guile up here? I don't know. Guile for me is one of those... Guile is the same as me as Chun. You could reasonably put Guile and Chun, both of them, in S or A. For the same reasons. Super solid on defense, good zoning, just good tools all around, very stable. Like, one of the strengths of Guile in this game is that he wasn't reliant on, like, taking risks or V-trigger comebacks. He just had very stable gameplay. So, like, if you were good at Guile, like Higuchi or Daigo, and you were able to bring out a consistent performance, you could guarantee yourself, like, a high placing every single tournament. Very consistent character. Menat. Don't let me forget Menat. Menat was a character specialist character. So there weren't that many people sticking with her by the end. Like, Sako moved on to Kage, even. I don't know what that was all about. But even with a lot of players dropping her over the years, I still think she was incredible. She had completely disjointed zoning normals. She could play one of the lamest poke and run away games just by pressing stand medium punch and stand fierce. Her V-Trigger 1, I still maintain, to this day, that Menat's V-Trigger 1 was the best V-Trigger in the game. Followed closely by another character that we'll get to eventually that's a friend of mine. I think she had the best V-Trigger in the game. Is that Oro downplay? I don't know. We'll find out. Yeah, best V-Trigger, buttons that are very, very difficult, if not impossible to whiff punish, good zoning, a surprisingly decent rushdown game. She had a good dive kick. Okay, Seth. God, this is hard, man. I can't do this. Like, again, Seth could easily be S. I don't know. By the end of the game's life, V-Trigger 2 was one of the best V-Triggers in the game. You couldn't V-reversal it. It was a completely inescapable 50-50 on, like, most of the cast, unless you had a teleport V-reversal. Basically, if Seth activated V-Trigger 2, and you had, like, less than 50% health, and no teleport-style V-reversal, you were basically just fucked. It was like a constant checkmate situation. But outside, I would say the only downside of Seth is that outside of the V-Trigger 2, he was a little bit awkward to use, and his defenses were paper thin. Seth died so quickly. There was very little room for error, so only very solid players were playing Seth. Because, like, one bad EXDP with this character, or one attempt to interrupt a string that gets counter hit, that's just the round over. You have to be very careful about your decision making. Bipson, of course. I think this A tier is going to be very full. Bipson's good. Bipson's always been good. Infinite plus frames. Pressure goes on forever. 2 incredible V-triggers. His V-trigger 2 particularly annoying. Tons of chip damage. Tons of grey damage. He constantly forces you to make a mistake. Like, I think Bison's a good tournament character. Because if you're in tournament and you're not super confident in your defensive decisions and you just accidentally, like, press crouch tech in a Bison pressure string and you get crush countered by stand heavy kick, you're done. Game over, buddy. Rashid, again, always good. Every version of the game, he's always been good. Potentially S, but I'm going to stick him in A for now. The thing about Rashid is that 99% of the crackheads that played this character in Ranked played him as like an Unga Bunga rushdown character. But Rashid's real strength was actually that he could be played super dry. But not many people took advantage of it. So like the Rashid players that got results was like Gachi-kun, who would take every single round to a timeout. And the Birds, for example. Like lame Rashid was insanely strong, but there was very few people that were playing lame Rashid. Everyone else was just playing him like an idiot. But yeah, this character was really good. Anyone else in A? Let's have a look. Oh, Zeku, that's a good one. Yeah, Zeku was, again, always a good character. Effectively 2 characters in one, so covered a ton of matchups. You know, if you were against the annoying Cammy players, you could just play old Zeku and lame them out. If you need to rush down, you can just switch back into Young and go full rush down. Hard to play, I would say, was the weakness of Zeku. And minor weakness, Zeku never really got good confirms from lows. Especially young Zeku. It was kind of like, once you realized that he didn't have good lows, you could walk out of a lot of his pressure. But still a very good character, very solid, lots of tools. Huge damage output and stun. The back throw, famously, young Zeku's back throw did like, what was it, like 200 stun? 250? I can't remember. What was the maximum stun of back throws in that game? Was it 200? 160 damage, 200 stun, yeah. So if you were within range of getting stunned by a throw from Zeku, it was horrifying. Because any hit would stun you, and if you try and take the throw, and you get shimmied, you're dead. If you don't try and take the throw, and he does back throw, you're still dead. He was a grappler in disguise. Cammy, of course. Cammy... This was probably the weakest Cammy ever was in any version of this game. And she was still A tier. Like, that goes to show you, like, how privileged Cammy is always in Street Fighter. Like, Cammy players were in despair in the final season. They were like, oh man, this character is unusable garbage. She's A tier. This is also a thing that's shared with this character. We'll get to him later. Cammy and Akuma mains are the most privileged motherfuckers in Street Fighter. Because in the final season of Street Fighter V, they were, like, good but not great. And both of their players just fell off the face of the earth. Yeah. Good pokes. Good dive kick. I feel like Cammy was actually quite hard to play at high level. Because to have like an optimal Cammy in this game, you had to be able to consistently single hit confirm crouch medium kick. And her confirm window was very small, I remember. Like, it was doable that like NL used to single hit confirm the crouch medium kick consistently. But there was only maybe like 3 Cammys on the planet that were doing that consistently in tournament. Every other Cammy just disappeared, basically, if you couldn't do that. I guess we'll put Akuma here now anyway. Yeah, Akuma's the same deal. Akuma has a tool for every situation, but his completely overpowered stuff was shaved off. The side switch combos, I'm glad they got rid of them. He had a few nerfs going into the last season, and his defense was very frail, but he was still Akuma. Akuma still has all the tools in the world. He'll have a DP. He'll have a low forward hit confirm. Good corner carry. There's 15 different ways to change his jump trajectory with dive kick and air fireball and stuff. He had tools, but he wasn't brain dead. And that's why the Akuma players hated it. Anyone else in A? Oh wait. Hang on. Don't show this to IDOM. Or any of the Laura down players. Laura was really good in the last season. She was really good. Her V-Trigger 1 rushdown was demonic. But the thing is, Laura had like a thing where most Laura players were like, okay, she's busted in V-Trigger, but she's hard to use outside of V-Trigger. And that was true until they gave her an extremely good and easy to hit confirm crouch medium kick. They gave her, like, for some reason, a grappler was getting, like, a Ryu tier crouch medium kick. For reasons I don't fully understand. So you could actually play, like, a really solid footsie-based Laura, and then land the first hit, and then turn on the gorilla mode. She could play at 2 different speeds, so... I think she was really good in the last season. I think probably the last character I'm gonna put here is... Oh, Colleen? Wait, no. Two more. We're gonna put the characters that sound the same in A, Colleen and Karen. I think these are the last 2. White girl jump scare. Colleen and Karen, similar characters, good footsies on the ground. Colleen got shot a bit this season. Like, Colleen was, like, busted in the previous season until they toned down her V-Trigger 2. And then she went from busted to just really good. I actually thought... I remember when the final balance patch first came out, I thought they'd killed Colleen because Kawano won Evo, and we couldn't have Colleen players having nice things. So I did think that they'd nerfed her heavily, but she was actually still pretty good. Yeah, both these characters were solid. Karen disappeared completely from competitive Street Fighter in the final year, and a lot of Karen players lied, and they said, see guys, there's no Karen players getting results. Karen isn't good anymore, guys. Look, where are all the Karen player results? Here's the Karen player results, right here. This is the Karen player results. This boy at the top. It had nothing to do with Karen being weak. The reason that all the Karen players disappeared at the end of this game was nothing to do with Karen. It was because this character was just Karen, but better. Alright, let's keep going. Sakura was always an odd character for me. It felt like she should be good. I always felt like Sakura has all of the kit you need to be good, but she just never really clicked. I mean, was it Nowman got that big win at Evo Japan? That was probably Sakura's best performance ever. Yeah, she's okay. She's got some good buttons. Her stand light kick was notorious for being, like, the best 4-frame in the game. She had insanely good walk speed. She could just walk out of mix-ups and walk out of throws. Shimmy you instantly. She had some low damage, and she didn't have the best ways to activate V-Trigger. Like, a lot of her good damage output was locked behind corner combos. But, yeah, she was okay. She was just a little bit lacking in a few places. Oh, no. How did I forget this motherfucker? Alright, G's going in A. There's no way G's B. Yeah. No, I forgot about this man. The President of Earth. G is similar to Laura for me, where he was a kind of grappler that you could also play footsies with, and even had a good zoning game. Like, if you picked V-Skill 2, V-Trigger 2, G, you could actually play a good zoning game and just run away and throw fireballs with a grappler. It was bizarre. Yeah, there was lots of different ways you could play G. He had some amazing buttons. His lights, in particular, were kind of legendary. You could literally just sit at, like, half screen with G and just buff a jab or light kick into EX smash, and it would just auto hit confirm. He had, like, some of the best light buffers in the game. Okay, by the way, if anyone's wondering, I'm saving Oro for last, because I think that's the one that's going to be most controversial. Urien is a tough one. I could put Urien in A, potentially, but I don't think he's up there. I don't think he's as good as, like, these characters here. I'm gonna put Urien in B. Urien was Urien. Aegis Reflector was always a problem to deal with. EX Tackle was brain dead. But he did actually get nerfed a little bit in the final season. Aegis was no longer a wake-up option, which was a huge thing. And they also killed EX Headbutt. That was the change. This character went from having one of the most annoying wake-up reversals to deal with to literally no defense. You could bully Urien so hard on defense in the final season. So, like, if he still had Invincible EX Headbutt, he'd be, like, here. But just losing that, he's like here. So having no defense in Street Fighter V was rough. But he still had lots of good tools, good pokes, big damage, and Aegis was still good for mix-ups. Okay, next up, I'm gonna put Rose. I'm gonna put these three together: Rose, Dan, Akira. These were all late additions to the game. I think they all came out in the same season. All of them have some cool stuff. Like, Rose was starting to get a little bit of results towards the end of the game. Who was that? Who was the Japanese Rose that was really good? Aqua. Thank you. Aqua. Yeah, there was a few Japanese players that were starting to rate this character quite highly towards the end of the game. Like, Aqua was doing well. Urio was doing well. You know, she had a lot of potential, but she also had some weaknesses. Slow buttons on defense. A couple of stubby normals. Her only reversal was EX Drill, which was like so insanely slow. You could just jab her and wait. Akira is kind of a poverty version of Karin. In fact, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put Lucia here as well. There's a weird like hierarchy of wants to be Karin, but is just worse. Lucia and Akira were both just poverty versions of Karin, and Karin was just a poverty version of Luke, so they weren't terrible. They had some cool stuff. You know, Akira had her launcher air juggles. But if you want to play a character that is just walking around in neutral and then hit confirming off a medium, you should just play Karin or Luke. There's just no reason to play either of these characters. You could even argue that Lucia was worse. Lucia had very little going for her, but I'll keep her in B for the time being. Blanca was down here. I mean, Blanca was a weird one. Wolfgang was constantly trying to convince everyone that Blanca was secretly busted. Everyone else was trying to convince us that Blanca was unusable trash. I think he wasn't garbage, but he was not great. They gave him huge buffs to his V-Trigger 1 in the last season, which was an interesting move. He's one of these weird characters where it went from every single Blanca uses V-Trigger 2 only to every single Blanca uses V-Trigger 1 only. But he still didn't have great tools. His buttons were a little bit stubby. He didn't get great damage off like stray hits. Okay. Vega as well. You'll notice a trend with a lot of these characters that I'm putting down here is that they have some good options, but they have bad defense. Vega was like the pinnacle of that. Vega's neutral, his Stam medium punch in particular, was one of the best buttons in the game. But he also had like no defense at all. His V reversals sucked. He had no like DP or anything. His V skill 2, which could kind of be used as a reversal, was way too slow to be useful. This character, it should just be renamed from Vega to Stan Medium Punch. Like, they just gave him one evil demonic button and said, alright, that's enough. We'll call it a day. But Stan Medium Punch is not enough to carry this character. Fang, yeah. Fang was not great. I feel like he was better in this season. Like, maybe you could make an argument that he was at the bottom of A. He was probably the strongest version of Fang ever. He was trending up, yeah, I agree with that, but I just don't think he was there yet. He'd fought his way out of the bottom, but was still not that great. But there was some Fangs getting results. Vega Patch did really well at the last Capcom Cup. Mono was scary. There was a few Fang players. But ultimately, if your character is designed almost exclusively around filling the screen with projectiles in Street Fighter V, there's just too many matchups where you can't do shit. Like, he was just too easy to counterpick, I think. I would say Fang's only real niche was that there was a few matchups where Fang weirdly would just shut down a character that was stronger than him. Like, famously, Balrog had an absolute nightmare into Fang. Balrog players hated that matchup. What else? Was there any others? I think Fang did well into Karin, if if I remember rightly. Yeah, Fang had a couple of like anti-meta matchups that you could bring out, but as a solo character to main, he just had too many counter picks. Ibuki was down here. This character died, not as a result, really, of her own changes, but due to system mechanic changes. She actually had a good kit right up until they added V-Shift. And then V-Shift just sort of killed her, because most of her design up until that point was left-right 50-50s. So like she would do EX Kunai, air reset you with the target combo, and then walk under left-right. Or she would do V-Trigger 2, set up the air reset, walk under left-right. So that was like her whole thing. She was the reset you into an unfair left-right mix-up game. Then they added V-Shift, and Ibuki stopped existing. Capcom never really gave her any good tools to compensate for the loss of her left-right mix-ups. They tried to undo a few of her nerfs, like they reverted her V-Trigger 2 back to being plus on block in the last season, but it wasn't enough to fix the fact that she's just a victim of V-Shift, I think. You'll see that's a common thing for quite a few of the characters down here. You might have noticed there's a few grapplers in the remaining lineup. V-Shift killed a few characters. Not Laura. Do not trust IDOM. Laura had plenty of good ways to offset it. But a few grapplers really did not have good answers to V-Shift. I think Nash was here as well. Nash is kind of similar to Fang, where he was ass for quite a while. And then he started getting better. He was on the rise for the last couple of seasons. He got some decent buffs, but it just wasn't enough by the end to catch up. He's also projectile-based, and that's never good in Street Fighter V, unless you have very good ways of stopping people from going through your fireballs. Necalli, yeah, I'll put Necalli here as well. Necalli, again, Necalli and Nash, both characters that started out kind of like busted at the start of the game in season 1, but like they got super hardly nerfed after season 1, and they just never really recovered after that point. Like Necalli just he had bad footsies, bad hit confirms. He needed charge too much. He couldn't really confirm anything until he activated V-Trigger. He was really good in V-Trigger, but outside he was just not really threatening. And obviously another part of Necalli's corner game was his command grab pressure. But again, like V-Shift just made that too risky. He was still okay though. He wasn't dreadful. Ryu is down here. I feel like we're reliving this a bit right now, where it's like Ryu doesn't really have any reason to exist when Ken is in the game. Ken is just Ryu, but better in every single way. I don't think Ryu was good by the end. He kept getting buffs, but they weren't to the things that he needed. Kage as well. Kage has always been a mystery to me. It was kind of a meme by the end that every single time there was a balance patch in Street Fighter V, people would be like, "Oh man, Kage is busted this season." You know, Kage is they've overdone it, man. Kage is definitely busted this season. And then like 2 months later, everyone realized that he still sucks. That happened every single balance patch, including the final one where he got like they gave him like real fireballs, but only when he's in V-Trigger. They gave him better hit confirms. He could like delay, cancel, crouch, medium kick into medium Tatsu, I believe. The best thing about Kage is that one K-Brad clip. The whack-ass mix-up. A bunch of players switched to Kage. Like I mentioned earlier, Sako was playing Kage. I never really understood why. He just wasn't good, really. Sagat. Sagat was down here too. Same situation as Nash. Sagat has some good stuff. He's got some good zoning, but there's way too many anti-projectile moves in this game. If you have like a reactable anti-projectile move like Karen EX Tenko, Kami EX Drill, Jury EX Flip, any of these things, Sagat just can't compete. His whole thing is throwing fireballs, and he just wasn't that good at doing it. Alright, so I think that's probably gonna be it for the B tier. I think you guys can see where this is going. Like I said, I'm gonna save Oro for the end, but if you ignore Oro, Oro is flown off to another dimension. I think all of the remaining characters go in C. I think so. Big C tier. Yeah, Abigail, Birdie, Mika, Geef. 4 grapplers who were killed by V-Shift and given absolutely nothing to compensate. I would say of these 4, Birdie was definitely the best. Like, maybe potentially Birdie could be up here. No, Birdie wasn't great at the end. The only niche that Birdie had, and it was a weird one, is that Birdie had a really good matchup in the final season into Ed. Famously at Capcom Cup, Mena was the only person that could put a stop to Enderwalkers. So, like, as a pocket character for a couple of matchups, Birdie was decent. So, like, you could argue he deserves to be here, the bottom of B. But, yeah, he wasn't great. Honda as well. All of these characters were designed around the threat of their command grabs. Honda to a lesser extent. And V-Shift just took that away from them and gave them nothing in return. So yeah, I just think that was just an issue. Also, Abigail in particular, I actually think Abigail might have been the worst character in the game in the final season. Because not only did he have no threatening command grab game, they also just killed a bunch of his vital tools. Like, for some reason, they removed his stand jab as an anti-air. So, not only did he have no threatening offense anymore with command grab, he also couldn't deal with jumps. I used to do memes on the stream where I would just do Oro jump fierce over and over and over again against Abigail players, and it was a nightmare for Abigail to anti-air it. Because they got rid of the little stand jab flick. His only anti-airs in the final season were slow as hell and really hard to use. He had to use like crouch fierce or forward heavy punch. That was about it. Gil, I would say, is the only member of the bottom tier club who wasn't command grab based. Gil was just a victim of too much of his development time went into designing his extremely complicated retribution system, and none of it went into actually checking if he was decent. He was bad when he came out, and then he got a few buffs in the last balance patch, which didn't really amount to anything, and he just stayed bad. He had the sickest combos, the sickest highlights. I loved watching Nemo play this character. He's a fan favorite. Everyone loves watching high-level Gil play, but he just wasn't good. His buttons were worse than Urian's in every way for some reason. Like, if you could literally do like a side-by-side hitbox and frame data view of Urian's normal and Gil's normal of the same button, and almost every single time, Urian's was just straight up better. The jabs, though, I mean, Gil had a 3-frame crouch jab, but it was actively worse than Urian's 4-frame jab. That's how bad Gil was. He had a 3-frame, and it was worse than Urian's 4-frame because it didn't link into anything on counter hit. I can't believe they never gave him that. That was the one buff I was praying for Gil players. They never gave him counter hit crouch light punch into crouch medium punch for some reason. I don't get it. His crouch jab was complete garbage. And yeah, he had, like I said, his combo game was incredible. But the fundamental problem with Retribution was basically, why would I ever get opened up by this character if the threat is take a throw and lose 10% of my health, or attempt to shimmy and lose 70% of my health? Anyone with a brain defending against Gil would just take the throw. The only time this character ever got to do cool stuff was when you were playing idiots in ranked who would just delay tech 24/7. But if you had good defense, Gil just couldn't open you up. Alright. Now. Oro. Oh man, I actually don't know, man. I don't know. Is that a cop-out? I don't know I don't know what this character... I still don't know. Was he good? I don't know. Probably. I would say probably like low A, I guess. If you twist my arm and force me to put Oro in this list somewhere, I'm putting him here, I guess. I don't know. What do you guys think? He was here somewhere. Manat tier or slightly below. Well, I mean, this isn't ordered, apart from Oro, I guess. But yeah, I mean, he definitely wasn't. He wasn't up here with these characters, right? We can all agree on that. I don't think there's anyone here who would put him in S, right? Or at least no one trying to be contrarian for no reason. Yeah, like that, for example. I knew it. You're so predictable. Yeah, he was better than all of these characters. Yeah, I think that makes the most sense. He was probably low A, but I still don't feel sure about it. And that's what I liked about him. I always said that the reason that I like Oro is because no one can quite agree on how good this character. Like, lest I remind everyone of the famous IDOM tier list that put him bottom 2 in the game. I don't know. I'll put him there for the time being. I guess I'll finish up by just trying to order some of these left to right. I mean, I think my S is already pretty ordered. This looks about right to me. I think this is how I would have S if I was ordering it left to right. A, yeah, Alex needs to move down. Like here. I'll probably move Laura up here. G is better than them. I would say Akuma was one of the weaker characters in A. Yeah, Seth maybe like here. Chun-Li was really good. All the blonde guys are top 4. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Being a white boy with blonde hair in Street Fighter V final season was a blessing, man. These characters were stupid. B tier. Sakura and Urien were good. Rose, Lucia, Akira. I actually think Dan is one of the better characters in B here. I didn't speak too much about Dan when he came up. This character, his pressure was potentially the best in the entire game. Like, Dan's plus frames never ended. He was hard to play, and his neutral was not great, but once he got in, Jesus Christ, this character was terrifying. So I actually think Dan was one of the stronger characters in B here. I'm going to put Urien at the top. Other than that, move Sagat up a little bit. It's like here. I'll move Blanca down a little bit. This is mostly accurate, I think. Yeah. Okay, and let's tidy up C real quick. Honda, Gil, and Birdie. Probably the best 3 here. Probably put Birdie at the top, actually. I think Mika, Geef, and Abigail. I think Mika was better than those 2. She was still annoying. The thing is, the way that I think about it, in the final season, even though Mika wasn't good, I was still scared of this character. Like, I did not like fighting our Mika. She was still kind of threatening, even though she kind of sucked. But I was never, ever, ever, for a split second, scared of Geef or Abigail in the final season. Like, they just, even when they got in and reached their win condition, they just weren't scary at all. So yeah, I'm gonna say Geef and Abigail are the worst 2. If I was being really uncharitable, I would make an extra tier, but like D, put Geef and Abigail down there, but it's enough for the time being. Alright, I'm pretty happy with that. You guys managed to force a tier list out of me, somehow. But it was for a good cause. I just want to give a massive thanks again before I go away to everyone who has donated to the charity today. It means so much to me. Like I said earlier, I was expecting us to take maybe a couple weeks to reach the 1,000 mark. You guys destroyed my expectations, and we managed to raise $2,342.33 for the Palestine Children's Relief Fund. Just a reminder again before I go, if you guys want to help out, I'm still fundraising. I'm going to carry on doing this for a little while. I'll probably put a donation link in the YouTube video as well. So yeah, this isn't the end. We're gonna still be fundraising for a little while longer. And yeah, I just can't express how much I appreciate you guys coming through. It means a lot to me.